Tonight's story takes us back to the times of the baal shemtov. One of his favorite students was named Reb Wolf, and he didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. When his oldest daughter reached the age of marriage, the baal shemtov asked him, "What's going on with your daughter?" He started looking for a wonderful son-in-law. And he said, "Because I have no money, I have no dowry to offer, I can't really look for a fine young man as she deserves and I want." So baal shemtov said, "Don't worry, I will make sure that you have the money you need. You go look for the finest young man you can find to meet your daughter." So, with the baal shemtov's promise ringing in his ears, off he went, and he pursued and found a wonderful young man. An engagement was announced, a wedding date was announced, and now it's time to prepare for the wedding without money. A few weeks go by, and the parents of the groom send a letter asking, where are the normal gifts that are supposed to be exchanged between the bride and the groom? Of course, Reb Wolf had no money, therefore he couldn't send any gifts. He ran to baal shemtov. Baal shemtov says, "Don't worry about it. Tell them to come here a week early before the wedding so you can spend time together, and then you'll exchange all the gifts and everything will be fine." So he wrote to his future in-laws saying, "Please come a week before the scheduled date so we can really meet to get to know each other well and spend an enjoyable week before the wedding." Well, 8 days before the wedding, Reb Wolf is a little bit panicking because he has no money, and tomorrow his relatives are coming for the wedding and he doesn't know what to do. He decides to go to baal shemtov to ask him for his advice. On the way to baal shemtov's house, he runs into a stranger who says, "Excuse me, I'm looking for the baal shemtov. Do you know how to get to his house?" Reb Wolf said, "Why don't you join me? I'm going there anyways." Together they walk into the baal shemtov's house, and before either of them can say anything, baal shemtov says, "Have a seat, I want to tell you a story." And baal shemtov begins to relate the following story, that once upon a time there was a wealthy businessman who had earned 40,000 gold coins profit on a major deal, and he was very rushed to get back home with his money. So anxious was he to get home that he risked going through a forest late at night when normally you wouldn't risk that. And in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, there's a tree on their path. They had to stop. They got out to move the tree when all of a sudden they were attacked by robbers hiding in the forest, and they were tied up. And the rich man began to plead for his life. And he said, "Please, please, please, I'll give you half of my wealth." And they said, "Why half? We have the whole thing." And they took all of his money. And then they said, "We're going to have to kill you because otherwise we go to the police and we'll be in trouble." So he begged for 10 minutes to pray and say his final prayers, his Shema, before they kill him. They said, sure. They tied him to a tree, and he began to cry. He began to say the Shema, began to say the confession. He began to plead with God. In fact, he tried to make a deal, and he said, "God, if you save me, I will give an extra 10% of my money, 8,000 total, I will give to charity." And he cries, thinking of his wife and his 2 kids. And all of a sudden he hears noises, he opens his eyes, and some of the king's watchmen who are patrol the forest occasionally heard his cries, came upon the situation, and captured the thieves, returned his money to him, untied him, and he was able to successfully return home. Reb Wolf was listening to this story. It's very nice. The other guy has turned a little bit white, but no one's paying attention. Baal shemtov continues and says that this man returned home. He was very grateful for the miracle, but then he forgot his promise. And then, unfortunately, his child became very, very ill. And the doctors weren't able to help the child. They had never seen such a sickness, didn't know what to do about it. In desperation, the man decided to look for a rabbi, a tzaddik, a holy man whose blessings are fulfilled. And he heard of the baal shemtov, he heard of me, and he came here to seek my help. All of a sudden, the man gives out a cry. He says, "It's true, it's true." And immediately, Reb Wolf realizes that this man is the one of the story. He's the person who was saved in the forest, and he came here to ask the baal shemtov for a blessing. So baal shemtov said, "Take out the money that you promised now and give it to this fine young man, Reb Wolf over here, who needs the money to make a wedding for his daughter, and hopefully God will send you the cure that your child so desperately needs." Reb Wolf took the money, the man thanked the Rebbe, And the point of the story is not just the Rebbe is cool, but that it's very important to keep our promises. When we make a promise to Hashem, it's something very precious. When we make a promise to another person, it's equally important that we keep that promise. Keep our words, God will keep His words, and we'll be blessed. Have a great week.